Hey cutie. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. This might be my new favorite project on my channel, the Pan That Palette project. And I was never a person that wanted to pan a palette or thought that I really could pan a palette. And it wasn't until last year where I really spurred my love of wanting to use and finish shadows up. And then this, something happened and I really want to finish things up within my collection. So I'm going to go over my 2025 Pan That palette with you guys. But first, if you guys like panning content, you want to see me pan a palette, you like seeing someone use up their products. Love it if you subscribe so you can be a cutie too. So Pan That palette was originally created by Amber F. I will have her tagged down below so you can give her some love too. She is an incredible panner. She really does pan things to completion. It's very inspiring watching her finish so many eyeshadows up. But Pan That palette originally was the idea to completely finish every shade of eyeshadow in a palette, and I have done that previously. I did pan my ABH Subculture palette, and last year I was actually working on a rotational style Pan That palette where I have all my small size Colourpop, all of my Colourpop palettes. I have 3. My Bare Necessities, this was the Going Coconuts, and the Pretty Guardian with Sailor Moon. And I was just swapping shades out of that palette with this palette and hitting pan, finishing shades in a lot of palettes. I had a lot of pans last year in this project, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And the rotational aspect of it really kept this interesting to me. But I had a couple ideas for what I wanted to do this year in my Pan That palette, and I wanted to see what was going to spark joy for me. So initially I had a couple different ideas for what I wanted to pan within this year. The first was doing another BYOP style Pan That palette, whether it was to continue on what I was doing and just try to hit pan in all of my Colourpop shades. But I do have mostly matte shadows left in Colourpop, so it's a little intimidating. Also, instead of doing this, maybe pull out my Natasha Denona 5-pan palette, put 5 shades in that I want to focus on, and do something this way. However, I did decide to shy away from this idea, mostly because the packaging on these is broken, and I think that would infuriate me to use this, in all fairness. My other thought was to, in theory, just completely pan every shade that's left in my Going Coconuts palette. But if you were watching my Pan That palette last year, you will know this shade, Shell Yeah, took so long to hit pan in. So I don't know if this is something I necessarily want to finish in general. I might finish the shimmer shades eventually, but the mattes, I don't know if I'd ever want to finish these. And my thought for a Pan That palette this year is to get something actually out of my collection, no more packaging of whatever it is. So that kind of made me think maybe I could pan my Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette, because there's only a few shades left in here. There's 2 mattes, a shimmer, and then I pressed in this shade into the middle of it from a different palette. This is super, super achievable, at least for 2 shades. The 2 shimmers I totally could finish up. The mattes I think would take forever. I don't know if I could actually finish it by the end of the year. And when I start thinking of things that way, it wouldn't necessarily get out of my collection. So I kind of decided against this. My ultimate decision is something that's actually a little bit intimidating, but it's something I've always wanted to do. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but it's never been the right place, right time for when this project starts. Because I like doing this at the beginning of the year at least, so you have a full scope of what you can accomplish. So what I ended up deciding is, why not try to pan a palette that I've only used one time. Literally, I've only used the palette one time since owning it. So what a great way to really showcase and show what you can do in a year with a brand new palette. So I am actually going to be panning a brand new palette in my collection. This is the Urban Decay Moondust Space Cowboy eyeshadow palette. This is the star packaged palette that came out for the holidays in 2024. I purchased mine November 2024, and I used it one time in 2024. It was to create one look, and I've actually used this for the second time today to create this look, just to show what you can do with this palette. And this is such a pretty eyeshadow look. This is way more sparkly than I initially, well, don't see my dirty office. This is way more sparkly and beautiful than I even originally thought this was going to be. I did put the NYX Glitter Glue primer down first before I tapped in the center shade in this, but I'm so happy with this. So I did use every shade. I recorded this look so you can get an idea of what you can do with this look, and this is just so pretty, and this is something I can wear all the time, every day to the office. It's so pretty. First of all, the star packaging is just so gorgeous. So it's gonna make me so excited to reach for this every day and just see this too. It's awkward packaging. So having this come in, being excited for the packaging, but then being able to be like, okay, well, this isn't practical, and now I'm done with it. I'm so excited about this. It gives me that like nostalgic T-Mobile Sidekick swivel action. But this is the palette and what it looks like right now. Again, I have used these shades now 2 times total. So I'm excited to actually see what I can do within the year. It's neutral, so it's very easy to see what that you can do with these. But we have Vibing here, which is the matte cream shade. Gonna use that to blend out any look, which is gonna be easy. We have this shade here, VIP Only. It kind of actually looks like Shell Yeah that I panned last year, but the formula on this seems a bit softer than the Colourpop. Down here we have No Sleep Club, which is a matte with shimmer in it. The shimmer does blend away, but there is a little bit of shimmer in there, but again, you can't tell when it's on the eyes. Next to that is the cooler toned, almost like a gunmetal brown. This is the shade Endless Party. It is a like more gunmetal type shade. It's definitely more cool toned than I normally reach for in a eyeshadow, but I do like this shade. I think they look very flattering on my eyes. This guy here is actually what I think is my favorite shade in the palette. This is such a beautiful rose gold shade with pink sparkles in it. This is A-List Energy. This is so pretty. I have this tapped in the very center of my lid today. And then the largest pan in the palette here, Space Cowboy Rides Again. I actually feel like I used to have, maybe it was Midnight Cowboy Rides Again. That was it. And it was more pink based, but I really loved that shade. And that's what I have topped on everything on the lid today. That's creating that super like textured sparkle. This is so pretty. I am so excited and happy to be reaching for this palette. This is going to be perfect for the work day. I have a lot of stuff going on the first quarter of the year for work. This is going to be great to wear to the office because we have brand new palette with complete tracked uses. I'm going to be able to tell you guys exactly how many times it took me to hit pan. Thank you iBank series for shedding the light on how often I use things. So I am excited about this, but let me just go over the palette and some extra details for you. I'm just going to hold it upside down because it's so much easier to do it this way. So this palette is advertised to have 10.05 grams of product within here. So that's just the product though. That's just the eyeshadow that's smushed into these pans. But I did weigh this palette and I am starting. This thing weighs 98.2 grams right now with all of the packaging, all of the pans, all of that jazz. 98.2 grams. In order to finish this palette up, in theory, I need to use 0.83 grams a month. Less than 1 gram of product. My second goal with this palette is just to use each shade 10 times. That was another goal that I set last year for my Pan That palette. 10 uses for each shade. And because I have 3 less shades in this palette than last year, in theory, I should be able to do that so much easier. Also, the fact that there is just the 3 staple mattes in this palette, I'm going to be able to incorporate this with everything for the most part. Now, there might be times where I want to use different matte shades that are in my collection. I'm going to be allowing myself to do that because in theory, I go to the office 10 days a week. I could wear this as just solely my office palette and get 10 days a week. 10 days a week? Laura, come on. I go to the office 10 days a month. So in theory, I can get every single use in these shades wearing a similar look to what I'm wearing right now, which includes every single one of these eyeshadows, and get my 10 uses every single month. Now, I don't know, it's been a while since I've really used and panned an Urban Decay eyeshadow that's been a fresh formula. Now, these don't feel anywhere near as firmly pressed as any of like the Naked formula eyeshadows have felt in the past, or the Heavy Metals eyeshadow palette that I had previously and finished a few shades out of. This does feel, the mattes feel a little bit softer than the mattes in the Naked palettes I've used previously, but the shimmers don't feel as squishy and metallic as the Heavy Metals shades, but they do feel very similar to my other Moondust palette, which they're actually pretty hard pressed. But I think with steady, consistent usage, and as the shades get used, sometimes the shades and formulas get softer as you use them. So I'm thinking that might be the case with this. But either way, I'm just so excited to use this palette. I can't wait to see what I can do in a brand new palette within a year. I'm just so excited about this. Did anyone else pick this palette up or receive this during the holidays? Honestly, this is so pretty. I know that it's like probably so gimmicky and no one wanted it for the packaging, but that is honestly why I wanted this, was for the packaging, because I think that this is so cute. And it's not super big, like it's definitely like fits in my hand, like I can hold it in my hand comfortably. And I just really love this. This part, I would love to know what you're doing for your Pan That palette. Are you doing a Pan That palette? Are you just panning eyeshadows in general? Do you not even care about panning palettes? Do you just want to use your stuff? I would love to know. Let me know how you use your collection down below in the comments. I love talking to you guys there. But I hope you guys have a wonderful 2025. No matter when you're watching this, I hope you're having a great year. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.